We are live. Welcome, everybody, to USfanTV. I'm Chris, as you sometimes find, and as you sometimes find me running the show like I am tonight. With me tonight is TJ because Pat is in Deutschland. He was at the Germany-Brazil game earlier today. Also a 1-0 game, but in a much different way, I think, as far as he was concerned. So welcome, TJ.
Thanks. It's good to be here, I guess, in a backup role, as I usually am. So when they run out of options, they go to me. So this works out well.
Yeah. I guess we'll just jump in quickly. What'd you think of the game?
It's a good start. I guess that's kind of it. You've really a big turn the page moment was tonight. The result, great win, better than losing, but to see really what is shaping up to be a good start to the next generation of the team, I was happy with it. I saw a lot of things I liked. It reminds me of watching a young baseball team in the sense of there are nights you're going to go, oh my God, this team could win the World Cup. And then there's other moments you go, how did this team make it out of rec soccer? And
Yeah,
they
I
can
mean,
come 1 minute apart.
there were a lot of things that I thought were positive. I definitely liked Matt Miazga. Villafana was kind of everything we hoped for so many games. Part of it was probably that he was playing Paraguay as opposed to some of the higher caliber opponents, but um, he looked pretty fantastic at both ends of the ball. I mean, he was great getting forward. He had a lot of good touches of the ball. He had some good crosses, particularly in the first half. He was working well with Saif or Seth, I guess it's now
It is
pronounced.
Steph,
Um,
apparently.
uh, Working down the left side. I mean, realistically, DeAndre, for kind of being what you would have thought to be the highlight of the team to some extent, there was very little attacking down the right side. Almost everything flowed through the left for most of the game, really, especially for the first, I would say, three quarters of the match.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I noticed that as well. I didn't really notice Yedlin until things started getting chippy, and he seemed to be in the middle of all of it more than it was necessarily his play. Um, I, I don't know if that's by design or if that's just how it's happened to work out. The one thing I'll say, yeah, it's Paraguay. I get it. They're not nearly the quality of some of the other teams they're facing. But the fact they came out and it did get chippy shows you that both teams actually gave a crap about what was going on tonight. And I think that makes for a more realistic environment. The two teams going through the motion or deciding not to show up like Argentina did in their game against Spain. But
Yeah. Oh my God. Considering that game was like, it was what 1-1 at like half,
I believe so. But yeah,
and within 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the second half starting was already 3-1, and then it was just like there were a couple goals. I was like, wait, I didn't even realize they restarted, and then there was already another goal. I was like,
kind of
what? Wait, how? That's not how they scored the goal. I thought it was a replay, and then it's like, oh wait, no, they just scored again. Like, are you kidding me?
kind of like what Germany did to Brazil.
Basically, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
Or
I
Chile did to Mexico, but whatever.
right, we'll
Um,
get to we can get to that later if we want. Rehashing good times. You know, I've I see Warrior Nation mentioning subs, and I saw a couple people tweeting about it why they didn't go deep into their bench, and I'm fine with that. You're looking at a new crop of players. You want
yeah, I
them to
think that
get
was part of it.
you get a serious run out on them. If they're only playing a half, you're not going to get what you're going to see going forward. You need to see these guys playing at a high tempo longer. You need to see them when they start getting tired. You need to see what they can do when their legs aren't completely fresh. And if they're only going 45, 50 minutes, you're not going to see that, especially out of the guys you really wanted to get a good look at tonight. And I think that's, Adams. I think it was Nagby. I think it was for specifically those two. And that's why I don't think the subbing was what made everybody happy.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen Eric Palmer Brown play, but at the same time, you really wanted to see what the pairing of Miazga and Carter Vickers could do. And I thought it went pretty damn well. I mean, Miazga in particular, I thought did really well. He was winning one-on-one balls. He was actually playing well with the ball at his feet. That sort of overstep that he had in the first half to throw off. I don't remember who the player was from Paraguay, where like he just faked him out of his shorts. Like this stepped back the other way and suddenly had an open 10 yards in front of him. That was stuff that we haven't seen out of U.S. defenders really ever, much less in an actual international game. So that was positive. That was cool to see. Definitely Tyler Adams had a strong game. The one thing I think the team was really missing, if you really look at kind of how things are working with three guys more or less playing in central midfield, while Tyler Adams was certainly covering a lot of ground. I mean, he was definitely the one making it the farthest upfield and things. He was ending up very wide. We were really lacking in sort of either a central attacking midfielder, a number 10, something along those lines, somebody to kind of fill that space and really support the offense, especially when you figure Bobby Wood struggled for a lot of the game. I think some of that being the fact that he hasn't really played in a month. And, come on, he's a striker. Strikers need goals to feel confident about things. But on top of it, he's never really been one to fare well in a single striker setup, and this formation really wasn't set to give him kind of what he needed.
But you know what? If you're going to try different formations, if you want to show that you want to stick with that team, you got to show you can play. And it was probably 7 or 8 minutes in, if I recall correctly, he had a real shot to go take on a defender, beat one defender, and he's on the goalie, and he stopped. That to me was the beginning, the middle, and the end of Bobby Wood for the night. Everything else kind of flowed from there. And you and I, when we were texting back and forth a little bit, to me, Bobby Wood is the equivalent of a golfer when he has the shanks. It's just there is something wrong. He has no confidence. And playing or not playing, that would have been the chance to say, I can still do this and go take the defender on. Even if he fails, to have the balls to take the chance to do it. And he didn't. He sat and he held up. Now, the other thing you had just mentioned was they're missing the number 10 role. Wait, they have one of those. I'm not concerned about that missing.
Oh yeah. It wasn't that I was saying it was completely missing. I mean, it was more that it was just missing on the field because
correct.
No, we absolutely have options in our near future. Could have been with this team, so we certainly have that spot filled. It was just a matter of it was definitely a spot in which that would have, I think, helped control the game more, especially in Paraguay's half. While we held an awful lot of possession, it wasn't necessarily a controlled game. It was the ball had to move a lot to maintain that possession. Either it was coming straight from like a fullback or somebody say deep in midfield in some sort of long ball, or it was pushing up the wings. There wasn't a lot through the middle, which there's also a little bit of how Paraguay stacked up. So. There are things that go both ways there, but when I look at where kind of the action was happening, and some of the those stat maps, heat maps, whatever, were kind of showing this too, that there wasn't a lot between like the top of you could put it between the tops or the bottoms of the circle. So from the box to midfield, there just wasn't a lot of activity kind of in that space in the offensive half.
I agreed. Definitely, like you nailed it. They didn't have a number 10 tonight. We know we have the options there, and that's always good to see. But it seemed like really once they got there, it's like, okay, now what do you do? Almost like the proverbial dog catching the car. Okay, I've got it. Now what? I don't know what to do.
There definitely, I think, there were a lot of signs that this was still a team that doesn't really know each other, or that isn't comfortable playing together yet. Too many passes were either where the guy was standing or to a space where you thought he was going to go. You didn't actually know where he would make that run. Too many touches were kind of tentative because you didn't know, like it wasn't totally clear yet if one player's pushing up that the other's going to either play a give and go and let him make the run, or is he truly going to make that run? There were a lot of guys who would like hold a ball for a second when it probably would have been smoother to play the player coming at them into space and let him run. But these are all things that so much of this team. I mean, what was the average number of caps on this team? Like 5 or less or something? I mean, when you look at
one,
yeah, maybe. Just about, yeah. When you look at DeAndre being the number one the highest capped player at 50 tonight. And basically, it was him and Nagby and Villafana as like the only three who truly have caps under their belts. I mean, yes, there have been others, and
Bobby Wood.
certainly, oh, true. How could I forget Bobby Wood, of course? But when you look at, there's only like four guys on the field who have a fair amount of experience with the team. The rest of them are all in the last 6 months, 5 months, really. That's it's kind of impressive.
And
I mean, some of that's to be expected, I guess. I shouldn't say it's impressive. Some of it's to be expected in that they aren't familiar with each other yet. But it's still impressive that they played decently for those issues, I guess.
I guess what the one thing I noticed, and maybe I'm seeing it wrong, and if I'm wrong, I know you'll correct me on this, but they played with attitude. They played with flair. I mean, they played. They didn't play tentative. They went out, and even defending, they didn't seem overwhelmed. They didn't seem overrun. And I get it. It's Paraguay. It's not France. It's not anybody who's going to be a threat to them going forward. It's not Costa Rica. It's not Mexico. They really looked like a team of boys, for lack of a better term. And if they were to play a great, I think playing a experienced side like Mexico or something like that, they might get destroyed. You don't know. A team that can just play them into dumb mistakes. But I also like the fact that they showed that confidence. I like that flair in the sense of, hey, we don't know we're not supposed to be good at this point. So let's just see what we can do. They need to have, I think, if this is the bottoming out of U.S. soccer, which we all hope it is, you need to have that rebirth. You need to have that attitude rebuilding going forward. And I thought that was outstanding. And that was one of the big takeaways for me.
I would absolutely agree on that. One of the things I liked was a lot of the kind of close quarters passes and touches. They weren't afraid to. For so long, I mean, you could say most of the last 8 years, it's pretty much been anytime there was pressure in midfield, within 10 yards of the first 10 yards of the other team's half, and say the first 30 or the front 30 of our half, it was just dump the ball to Michael Bradley. That was it. There wasn't a whole lot of like secondary planning. It was like just find Bradley and push the ball to him, and then he'll figure something out, or he'll find someone else to pass to or whatever. There wasn't a need for that. Each of these guys kind of had the ability on his own to handle a little bit of pressure and to find someone, and they didn't panic, even though there were players within 3 to 5 yards of them. So that was a real positive. I really liked in the second half when things really got kind of chippy before the ref, when he finally kind of started to crack down on things. When Miazga walked straight into, I think it was like 3 or 4 players, just straight into the middle of them, 3 or 4 Paraguayans, and just was just pushing anyone. He was going straight for people who wasn't afraid of it. I love when big defenders decide I'm not taking this shit, and I'm not afraid of you guys. I love that it's kind of a mental thing to them, to the other team, and it's a mental thing for your team too. That you're showing a bit of aggression, a bit of attitude that shows you feel that you are the better team, the better player, the better side to take care of this game. It's a strength that we haven't had, I think, really in the U.S. sides in close to 20 years, probably. Aside from maybe games against Mexico, where it was like guys wanted to go step up, and if they had to fight somebody, they were going to fight somebody. I mean, it didn't quite get that far, but there was an edge to all of it that I haven't seen from a U.S. team in a very long time.
I'm going to throw it back to you, and you're old enough to remember, and I know some of the guys that are in the chat box aren't old enough to remember the 2002 team, in that sense of DeMarcus Beasley, Landon Donovan, and those guys. They didn't know. They knew they were good, and they were going to make sure you knew they were good, and that. And I get it. Again, it's Paraguay. It's not it's not Portugal. Yeah, it's not Mexico. But they did the same thing against those top sides of like Portugal, like Germany, and they didn't play afraid. And maybe that's what we're kind of keep going around. They didn't play afraid, and that's the first time by and large, we've seen a lot of that, even against teams in CONCACAF that they should destroy. Trinidad and Tobago
Trinidad
comes
and
to mind.
Tobago. Ugh.
They played afraid. They were so afraid of making the mistake that cost them. They didn't take the chances that needed to be taken.
Yeah.
And tonight I didn't see that.
No, I think that's a really good point. And I think you're exactly right there. That it really was a matter of attitude or um, not knowing enough to be afraid. I don't know, but there really was something to be said for their willingness to face the challenges and to step up and be individually the guys who would address those challenges. It's not often that collectively the U.S. could be a good team for most of the last 20 years. Collectively, we could be a good team. Individually, we often struggled. It would be nice, and the real promise, I think, of so many of these guys is maybe there's the ability that individually we can also be good players. That we don't need everyone else to be good too, or everyone else to like be in the right position all the time to succeed, or have all the breaks fall our way, or whatever. That individually there are guys who can make things happen on their own, and that the that is kind of the next step, I guess, in any nation's evolution, because really what you need is when somebody's having a bad night, or most of the teams having a bad night, somebody steps up.
And the only one we had that could do that when they were having bad nights for the last couple of years has been Christian Pulisic. Is the only one that could step up and fill that role. And now you look at it and go, there's a few that could do it, and not just Pulisic. And I'm talking about, the one that showed me a lot tonight that I encourages me for Darlington Nagbe. I mean, we knew he was good, but to see him kind of running the team, everything went through him, and it wasn't. But he didn't keep the ball. He got it. He take it. He give it to somebody else. It was there and it was gone. It was there. It was gone. It wasn't hold. Let's look for the safest pass. It was first one who came open. They got it. Time and time again, and that's encouraging. I mean, Tyler, you have Adams stepping up. Yeah, there's a lot of good to see coming from this. So,
yeah, Christian says Brazil would smash us. Well, sure, but would Brazil's U19 team smash us, or like U23 team? I don't know. It's a little bit different. Yeah, sure, they're full side, of course, but hell, the way we were playing, no matter who we've had out lately, they would have destroyed us. So,
are there many sides Brazil wouldn't smash?
True.
They're pretty good.
I mean, it did take a handball, and I'm not entirely sure without that the ball even crossed the line, but they did beat Germany today, and it wasn't Germany's finest side out there by any means, but Germany's got like Germany and Brazil kind of, you could say, have like 3 or 4 waves of players they could just throw in that still could play for basically anyone in the world.
Okay. Alex is throwing out Tyler Adams as man of the match. I got a few things I want to get into. Let's start with that. What do you think? Who do you think?
That's a good question. On the one hand, I would say he did a lot of great things. His run that led to that penalty was great. I mean, so much of that was the ball, but to see the run to be made, you still want to see. I guess maybe it's an unfair. It's sort of like how I often felt that sometimes Bradley got unfairly judged because you saw more of him. Things like that he didn't score that goal. Kind of, I knock him a little bit. But he's definitely up there. I mean, he's one of, I would say, 3 guys that I would say it has to come from.
All right. So out of the 3, man of the match, who did you like? Who did you like?
I liked him. I liked Miazga. I would probably go Miazga. But
now you're pissing me off because I agree with you. That was exactly who I was going to go with the whole time. Just like you said, his willingness to put his nose in where it didn't belong. The fact that he really said, "Nah, you ain't going through me tonight."
Yeah, I mean, he beat guys by positioning and he beat guys one on one as well, which to me says a lot, especially for a guy who doesn't have a lot of caps.
Yeah, I thought of him and I started thinking back to what do you compare Miazga to? Because my favorite is compared to other sports, like a Pronger or a Stevens type. Had some skill, but would still knock you pretty much flat on your ass if he needed to. And I thought that was a good balance for Miazga tonight. And was it Miola that said it was like it's funny what happens when he plays. He's getting to play consistently now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're seeing some talent from him again. And I guess I'll kind of lead that to the next question. I haven't seen much of Tony Miola doing color commentary. I liked him. I don't know what your take on him was. Is he seems to care. He seems to know what's going on all the time.
When I met him last summer, we were talking about this on text. Like when Pat and I met him, the dude, like I think he would have let us stay there and just talk to him for like a half hour. So there were other people in line, so we like go like, like don't we have to leave? And he just wanted to keep going. And like the things he was talking about, I mean, clearly he's watching. He must that must be what he does now. Is just watch soccer all day long, like every game, because it was like no matter who you brought up, he could talk about the game, what happened in the game, plays by a certain player. Like this is just a guy who I think is just eating this stuff up. And one of the things I have to say, so many of those guys from the 90s, I loved them as players and I've hated them as commentators because I felt like, well, it's sort of like I had the opposite feeling about Winalda, where it was like I always sort of laughed at him as a player for being kind of being Wijnaldum. But as an announcer or a commentator, I loved him because at least he gave a real opinion. Marcelo Balboa was the opposite. Went from like I loved him as a player to I hated him as an announcer. Mayola was like good enough in my opinion. I'd have to watch some more games maybe to really like go and evaluate him. But what I felt was he had good things to say. He didn't talk too much, and he didn't. He when he saw I forgot the tackle that led to the fight in the second half, but when he saw that, he was like, that should have been a red card. He didn't kind of pussyfoot around on this stuff like so many of our former players have, where they want to kind of, I don't know, be nice. They feel like they have to play fair to both sides. Like, well, that might have been a rash challenge or something. It's like, no, just call it what it was. That should have been a red card. He should have been out.
And I'll step in with my referee's hat on and kind of address that because, well, I'm a referee and I can do that shit. Yes, Miola was right. That was a red card. Two studs up, tackle. I don't care where you are. I don't care what it is. That's a red card. And I saw somebody point out on Twitter, and I want to go back to the penalty because there was a couple people I saw talking about the foul by the goalie leading to the PK. It was a obvious goal scoring opportunity. Dog so or whatever they call it now. FIFA, I think it was last year, might have been this year. They did away with the double jeopardy. If you get the foul on a penalty kick, if it's outside the penalty area, it's a different story. If it's a penalty kick, they're not going to give you a red card unless it is a red card foul in and of itself or a handball. If you're denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, it has to be a red card foul to get a red card to get the double jeopardy in play. They're trying to cut that back, unless, like I said, unless it's a handball. It's the only time that a handball to deny a goal will be a straight red card. However, if the goalie commits that foul outside the penalty area, it's going to be red because it's not a penalty kick anymore. So you're kind of giving the goal. You're not going to give the red card as well unless you're given a red card anyway. So that I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that, and I think that's probably a fair decision because it has in the past seemed unfair to me that you got a goal and you lost a man. It was like you're sort of rigging the game now against that team. And granted, that team kind of chose to get in that position, by the foul the player made to cause the penalty. But yeah, I have thought in the past that was sort of like an overly harsh punishment for a game that doesn't have a lot of scoring.
Right. Well,
but in this instance, I don't like. Being that's a friendly anyway, I don't think I would have given a red card if I were the referee anyway.
But even a qualifier, that's not a red card if you're given the penalty kick, which it did. Like I said, that wasn't a red. That didn't meet the threshold of a red card in and of itself. And to be honest, the goal scoring what it does is it allows people to still make a challenge on the ball and not worry about being thrown out. If they give the penalty, so be it. But let me see the other things. Let's move on to the next thing in the chat box. Oh, Devin, you're asking about the studs up. That's a red card. Any day that should have been a red card tonight. Every other game, U12, U14, men's national team, doesn't matter. That's a red card. That was a piss poor challenge. He deserved to go. Except that it's a friendly doesn't mean a damn thing. Is probably the only reason why he didn't get a red card.
Yeah, I mean, my issues, I guess, just kind of generally with the referee was that he waited too long to sort of try to insert himself into the match. It's a friendly, who cares, let him play, but nobody wants to see these guys get hurt, especially our guys when, so many of them being young and things, we want to see them playing for their club teams, and if they get hurt here, they could easily be done for the season.
Perhaps, but at the same time, I'm part of me was okay with it because you want to see what they do when they are punched in the mouth, and when you see teams try to, a year and a half from now, you're going to see that when they start playing games that matter again. They're going to see that. They're going to see
when we start getting
chippy and the crap.
You
gotta be ready for it. So I was actually okay with some of it. Once that, it seemed like the red card challenge, that was when he said, all right, you know what? I'm going to give a yellow here, but that's the last I'm going to deal with this. And then I'm going to start treating it more like I would a normal game. It's like he let him go up until then, and then he had enough of it. So, let's see. Seen a couple Christians asking about Will Trapp. I've seen a couple people asking about Will Trapp tonight. He was fine. It's what I expected him. Solid. Nothing outstanding, nothing amazing. Solid, and definitely played the part of the captain tonight. I was good with him.
Yeah, I guess I see it as he's one of those guys who will be a good filler, but is he the guy who will be here as, first choice? If like, the first choice starting 11 is there in 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever, will he be there? I doubt it. I think there are too many. We just have too many guys right now coming up as like central midfielders. I just don't see him being in the top 2 to 3. But is he in the top 5? I would say yeah. I think tonight's performance was a clear indication. He did kind of captain's work, and that was good stuff.
I see Will Trapp as the future captain of several Gold Cup rosters.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
You might get a sniff in a qualifier with injury, but not that he's a bad player by any stretch. I think there's better, like you said, he's in a crowded spot, and there are better in that spot for him coming up. So,
if somebody like Weston McKennie, truly keeps progressing in things and stays injury free, so we don't have to worry about things like, he doesn't get to play here, has to bail on future games or something. Do you see Will Trapp playing ahead of him? I mean, I don't know if you necessarily see them in exactly the same position anyway, but trying to fit so many of these young, talented up-and-comers that we have, you're not going to see, I think, 3 guys in central midfield going forward.
No, and yeah, are you going to play him over Darlington Nagbe? Are you going to... No. Like you said, Weston McKennie.
Yeah, are you going to play him over McKennie, Tyler Adams, maybe Pulisic, maybe Andrew Carrollton, guys who there's already kind of heat and a bandwagon coming for, and who could play in somewhere in those roles. There's only so many spots. So, I liked what I saw from him. I mean, I feel bad in a sense saying like, no, I don't see him leading the way here. But the reality of it is,
Kellen Acosta.
There's a lot of guys. God, yeah. We haven't even mentioned Kellen Acosta. Yeah, come to think of it, with his latest injury problems and things, they're, God, there are a lot of guys fighting in those spots.
This isn't a bad problem to have, especially
God, yeah.
after the shit show that happened last fall. Um, all right, next topic I want to throw at you because I've seen a few people mentioning it. The new shirts, the the points per month at the end of World Cup qualifying shirts.
Yeah. Um, Look, I like them. I liked when this design was leaked. God, whatever it was, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, 10 months ago. I remember. I remember the white one being leaked at some point, still during qualifying. I like them. I still say I wish we would come up with some sort of standard and just go with it. And also, did we have to release uniforms now? Couldn't you have shelved them for another 6 months or something?
Yeah.
Like to me, I don't think I'll ever. I mean, maybe someday at like Ross or something when I can get one for $20, I'll buy one of these. But I don't see myself ever buying one of these because I don't want to celebrate this year. I don't really want to remember this year.
No, and it, if they were going to hold these through 2019 in the Women's World Cup, I'd be fine with. But
Yeah,
they'll come out with something new for them,
yeah. I guess I left
as
out
they
that part of my
should.
point too. But yeah, I was going to say like we're now in between a She Believes Cup and a World Cup. There's nothing coming up really for the women either to go like, well, maybe they just at least they released it for them and the men just got one too. There's not even that argument. Like you released this for, frankly, why didn't they release it a few weeks ago for the She Believes Cup if that's what they were going to do? Because nothing else. At least give it to somebody who was playing something. I still don't consider the She Believes Cup like truly meaningful, but at least it was an international tournament.
An international tournament where teams typically bring at worst at A- roster. If they're
Yeah,
healthy, they bring their bet. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with that. What if this is the new standard? I mean, it doesn't look like any what everybody else is coming out with. This is the first time in a while I've looked at it and said, you know what? You could do variations on this. Do the red on red. You could do the white on white. The red white with the what they have coming up. There's a lot of different variations you could use, but if you kept that template, is it as good as a sash? Yeah, probably not. But would it be one I would be okay with going forward? Yeah. It actually I like the blue. I'm not sure
yeah.
I'll like the white as much. I think the white might be too busy.
I think they look good. What I've seen of them, I'm not going to rush out to buy one by any means. Like I said, if I can get one on sale in a year for $20, maybe I will. Um, Maybe if somehow we ended up playing in the next Copa America in these or something, I might be a little more interested. For the time being, when there's no real value to them, I don't really want to celebrate this kind of
Nope.
this cycle of uniforms because there'll be a new uniform within what, a year, 2 years.
Well, and that's like I
I
said.
assume there'll be a new one by, say, if we played in the next Copa America or the next one or one for the next Gold Cup or something. So there'll be some replacement. This will kind of be a lost uniform. That's the one thing. Maybe you keep it in your closet, and in 40 years or something, you pull it out. It's like, see, remember when this happened?
Yeah,
It'll be sort of like my '94 jersey or probably those hoops will be in a few more years, where it's like, oh yeah, no, that was awesome.
oh, the one you're talking the ones from last year, not the Waldo ones.
Yeah, I'm talking the Waldo ones.
Oh, the Waldo ones are still awesome. They
I
should,
know. That to me, that's what we should wear. To me, that should be our home uniform. I would love that.
yeah. But like I said, if they were to use something like this as a template on a go forward, I'd be okay with it. Because it's finally something back to unique, not just with the sleeves one color and then the
Yeah.
main body like France has, like England has, Portugal. We need something unique. So I
Well,
was good to see that.
Salvatore says that all the guys from the '90 teams used to come to his dad's store. Are you from New Jersey? I assume then. Like that's pretty awesome. That you get to like basically hang out with those guys. That's cool. Um, Yeah, yeah. Somebody notes that Twelman is a very good, one of the few very good former players. Is a great commentator. Sorry, I'm catching up on. I'm like 10 minutes behind on comments because I'm trying to run the show and things, so I'm reading off my phone. So it's a lot harder to read what's going on.
What everybody has to remember is Chris running the show is really it's like a monkey doing a math problem. It's certain things in life that are just more comedic to watch than there are to actually be a part of. This is kind of one of those things, and Unfortunately, you didn't get to see the pre-show, but it was outstanding. It was complete classic Chris. So I was very encouraged by that, by the way.
Ooh, somebody brought up Keaton Parks. Yeah, that's another one. Like yet another guy who we could be seeing somewhere in the midfield. Yeah, man, we're gonna have some tough competitions coming.
Yeah.
Assuming all these guys can get all their playing time and stay at the right level. Because I mean, hell, look what we thought certain other players that we sometimes make jokes about named Freddie Adu turned out to be.
But Freddie Adu, Freddie Adu is back assigned on a roster. Now it is a team that had Llamas in their starting 11 in a preseason friendly, but in a preseason game. So what to make of it? Hard to say. We can't finish out. We can't end the show at any point or anytime soon without mentioning Novakovic, Muskegon,
Yeah.
Wisconsin, not Muskego, Muskegon, which I've never heard of, Wisconsin.
Yeah. His dad was supposed to be at the Highbury watching the game tonight. If Pat had been here to run this, I would have tried to go and like interview him. But
Well, his mom was definitely there,
yeah,
and yeah, he's got to do better when you get a one-on-one with the keeper. You got to do a little better than that.
yeah. He got a little ahead of himself. He kind of showed some. I don't know if it was jitters or I mean, I haven't seen enough of him to say one way or the other. But yeah, kind of that his last step there in the box was he kind of let the ball get a little ahead of himself. I think maybe his eyes got a little too big, seeing like, oh my god, I might score a goal here.
I think my favorite part of him coming on tonight was the collective Twitter meltdown that he came on before Tim Weah. The collective meltdown of, oh my, why are we putting some journeyman who doesn't play for when we have Tim Weah who's playing for PSG? Who cares? Tim Weah did make the field. Yes, he is, and apparently the first born after 2000 to actually play for the national team. Makes me feel fucking old, is what it makes me feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I tweeted something like, I never saw George Weah play for the U.S. I was really hoping somebody would take that one seriously and be like, George Weah was the greatest player of all time.
And it's soccer Twitter. I fully expected somebody to take that seriously and to lose their collective shit over it.
Joke missed. Hey, Steven's here. Steven, what up?
Wow. Steven. Now, can Zlatan file his one-time change?
Oh.
Why the fuck? I mean, I get it now. Now we're getting to absurdity, but we do need to address this question because it's Zlatan. I get it. I don't care if he's changed once. He's Zlatan. He should be able to do whatever he wants when he wants to do it.
That would be awesome with me. I really do. I really do want to see him play. I need to see him play with the Galaxy. I know he's playing. I know they're in Chicago on the 14th of April.
Oh, I didn't know that. You know more than I do.
Yeah, which is the day before my birthday, but it is a kid weekend. So and I'm gone like 2 weeks later. So I might. I don't know if I can get a babysitter.
I don't know. I move
babysitters, I guess. Really,
I'll have a 10-day-old at that point. You think I'm going to really know whether I'm going to go or not? It's two collective thoughts. One, no, I can't go because I have a baby home. Two, my wife's going to throw me the fuck out of the house and say go. Either one are equally plausible.
I know Pat wants to go. I want to go, but I have to see if I can pull it off because of other time I'm taking off anyway, and it being a kid weekend. But yeah, I can say it's a birthday present.
I've already moved my 2 tickets for the 7th to this upcoming weekend because, well, it's the 7th. I'll either have a 3-day-old or I would have drill if baby comes early. And either way, really, I'm not going to go. So, do we want to address the elephant in the room?
Which one? I'm trying to get through our comments here.
Well, we could touch on Seth, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah. We haven't discussed him yet. He showed some great promise. He either was trying too hard or had some. I guess you could still, in a sense, call it first game jitters because there were a number of times where his touch was just like a little too long. Like his free kicks were just a little too long. It was like 3 feet too much, like over and over. Um, but there were times like on the dribble, he and Nagby were kind of our two guys out there who were really, I would say, most likely to dribble through someone or around someone.
Yeah. And the other one, the other thing what I did like with Seth is you said his free kicks, they're a little too long, whatever. I love the gravitas with his free kicks. That he had confidence.
Yeah, yeah.
I want this. I'm taking this. We don't have anybody really like Deuce. Sometimes show that. And I mean, how many times have we watched the national team over the last 2 years and just watched get a free kick and go, oh, no, ain't shit gonna happen here. This is where you saw somebody step up and go, I'm gonna do something.
I got this. Yeah,
I got this. Half of them, most of them didn't work out, but the fact that he was willing to step up and take some chances with them, I thought was, again, it's kind of back to that whole theme. You saw gravitas with this team for the first time in a while, in a long time.
Yeah, so there was some arrogance, or at least you could call it, self-belief or something, self-confidence. Maybe it is a little bit of arrogance, but it's been so long since we've kind of had that with anyone but probably Deuce. That, for as much as you might not be a great teammate if you're an arrogant asshole, you do make a good superstar. A good world-class player has to be pretty arrogant.
Pulisic had spells of that.
Yeah. Oh, the way that dude jumps in referees' faces. Like, he knows what he's bringing to the field. He seems like a good guy. He seems awfully like polite and sincere, and he speaks like about the team and things. He doesn't seem to get too far ahead of himself. But you can tell by the way he jumps at the referee when a call doesn't go his way, as quick as he is to say something, as in a sense how hot-headed he kind of responds. You can tell there's a fire there that is about confidence or some arrogance.
I'll be curious to see how he fits in with the team. I think he's going to fit in beautifully.
Yeah.
Where I feel another year of Bob Bradley was going to break, or of Bruce Arena was going to break him.
Yeah, maybe.
Between that and what's going on in Dortmund and kind of the me.
Well, actually, maybe it wouldn't have even been Bruce Arena so much as that team might have broken him, because the problem was when you have one guy who is the center of everything, every defender, every team knows, just go smash his ankles, which is all that happens in CONCACAF anyway. And we know what CONCACAF referees are like. Yeah, he was taking a beating. I mean, hell, half of Panama should have been thrown out when we played them. And they weren't even getting calls.
And we've talked about the refereeing in CONCACAF at no end. Because the problem is with really a lot of CONCACAF, the only referees that are worth a shit in CONCACAF come from the United States and from Mexico for the most part. It's the only place you have leagues that are worth it. And the problem is you then limit your pool to a very narrow, and they don't like putting Mexico referees on U.S. games unless they have to, kind of thing. But anyway, Dave Sarakin, how long do you keep him?
Yes.
That wasn't the big elephant. We'll get to that one, but
that is an elephant in the room that we haven't discussed. One of the things I noted the other day when they announced that he was signed through, I guess we talked about it maybe on the last show. When he was signed through June, that I think this kind of shows how little U.S. soccer is moving forward on anything. Not specifically his job, but that they're not getting any traction to sign the GMs, which means they're not moving anywhere to sign a new coach or to really look at a new coach. And so we're just kind of stuck treading water here. I don't necessarily have, for something like this, Sarakin's fine. One of the things when people were talking about this was a faster moving team tonight, one of the things I said was, well, one, it's an awful lot of young players. You get an awful lot of speed out there to go with it. Partially because of the youth, partially because maybe they're just faster than guys from the other options we've had in the past. So naturally, it's going to be a little bit faster. But then on top of it, Sarakin's not a like build from the back possession kind of guy. I mean, he's in many ways he's another Bruce Arena. Um, and while you might see some possession amongst them, especially in certain circumstances, for the most part, they are look for a way to they almost skip the midfield. It's like the ball touches the midfield, boom, just launch into the forwards, figure it out in the space somewhere, in the final third.
But
There's not going to be a lot of I don't know, tiki taka, like for as much as that phrase is overused. You're not going to see that in a Dave Sarakin team or a Bruce Arena team or probably a Bob Bradley team. And who says we're ready for that necessarily? But I think we are ready for a more possession minded style of play. And that's going to require, I think, a whole new managerial outlook. And that's why I think we need to find someone with greater vision. Sarakin's fine as like a single game coach or a game day coach or whatever. But, because look, all he's really doing is picking the guys he thinks are doing the best in training. That's not that hard to do. You just pick the best 11 guys or something akin to the best 11 guys. And you stick them out there. It's not that hard to do.
Let me throw this question to you.
Okay.
Let me throw this question to you. For the next year, when these games don't matter, is he kind of the perfect guy to leave him forward in the sense of he's not going to force us? He's going to really give.
He understands the spot.
Well, no, I was going to say whoever does take over, he's going to let these guys basically, like you said, he's going to throw the best 11 out there and see what they can do. He's not going to get in their way. You're going to see their strengths. You're going to see their weaknesses. So when you do decide to go get somebody like a Berhalter or whoever you want to run this team, you're going to have a better indication how these guys perform on the with the national team versus their club team, which they're two different things realistically. So is he perfect in that sense? Hey, I'm going to let you guys do what you guys do, and I'm not going to get as heavily involved and be a heavy fist on it and kind of impede the play. And so the next guy gets a good vision of it.
You're probably right there that he's not going to really get in the way, and I think he has accepted that he's not the guy for the future, or maybe he doesn't want the number one role. So he's not going to maybe cause the same kind of uproar. Like part of the reason that I don't think Tab Ramos got a shot back in November was that I don't think they wanted him yet as the full head coach, and I think he wouldn't have taken the job as like interim manager.
Okay, yeah,
maybe Sarakin kind of sees it as I can do what I can do here.
All right, let me throw one more name that we didn't talk about tonight, but Zach Steffen.
What a save at the end!
Yeah, phenomenal save at the end. I saw this on Twitter just in passing. Says he's ahead of Bill Hamid at this point. I don't think he's wrong,
I mean I could see it. Well, Hamid hasn't played since he left MLS. Well, he's not in a starting position, so he's not. On the one hand, yes, you wanted to see him challenging himself by moving to Europe. On the other, if he's not going to play, it's not necessarily helping him either.
And you and I, me and Pat, we've had that discussion before. Is at what you need to go to Europe, but you gotta play.
Yeah,
playing in MLS is better than riding the pine pony in Europe 90% of the time. And the reason why somebody like McKinney and Pulisic, do they play every minute? No. Were they in MLS? Yes. But they're playing enough minutes to contribute on teams that, in that sense. It's not like they're buried deep in the roster and not getting anywhere near it. Kind of like, well, Freddie Adu in Las Vegas. I'm just waiting for Freddie Adu to wear the Elvis costume and go out, but that's another story. If you had to ask me right now, who do I see when these qualifiers? Right now, I would say Zach Steffen. With what he did last year in the MLS playoffs against Atlanta when Atlanta was fly. I just remember that game and then the shootout afterwards. Again, he's got the balls. He's got what you want out of a goalkeeper, and he's still young. Give him 4 more years to get better with his positioning and so on and so forth. And the other thing I noticed was he played the ball really well. He wasn't afraid of having it at his feet. Not just, oh my God, it's at my feet. Let me bomb it 100 yards. It was, I can do some things. And we haven't had that in a long ass time. So if you were to ask me now, I would move him definitely ahead of Bill Hamid. I'd probably move him pretty close to the top of the list as we kind of go forward here. So
I definitely think for the time being it's fair and makes sense.
well, and he's going to turn 23 this year. He's still a kid.
Plenty of time, yeah.
Plenty of time to show me.
Comments.
Okay.
Somebody asked, does Guatemala not have a vote for the World? I assume you mean for the World Cup, Pranav, and yes, you are correct. They do not have a vote coming for the World Cup selection in June, which probably just further hurts the United bid, our US 2026 bid, because now it's 4 teams out of CONCACAF that can't vote for a bid, while Africa only has 1 team, that being Morocco themselves, who can't vote for their bid. So and they've got France already agreeing to vote for theirs. So I do think that at least for the time being, the U.S. World Cup bid is in serious jeopardy. Well, now there is the chance, and whatever FIFA says, they're absolutely rigging it so anything could happen. I don't care what they're saying about, oh, but the votes will be out in the open. Sure, they will. Okay. But you can vote for either of the 2, or you can vote for none of them. And I'm not sure what happens if everyone voted for none of them. Like you can make a third choice, and that is none of the above. What happens then? So we can then suddenly reopen bids anywhere? Like none of this makes any sense to me. It just seems that they're further adding confusion, which to me says it's all rigged, or it's all just a scam to get more money, which is exactly what we've been saying. Not that any bid can win a World Cup without some sort of bribery, but that anytime they start making it more confusing, especially right after they just said, see, we're making it transparent, what they're doing is not transparent at all. So to me, that just says all they're doing is setting it up for new ways to get paid somewhere behind the scenes.
Now, first I'm going to go to one of my go-to jokes, just because I still think it's fucking funny, is even if Canada had a vote, wouldn't it only be worth about 2/3 of the vote anyway? Wouldn't it lose at the exchange? All right, so that said, man, how many shows have we wasted on FIFA and this World Cup?
It's a lot. Horvath has struggled keeping his starting job at Bruges. He got it, then he lost it again. That's really why he's not further in the keeper mix right now. Because while everyone, I think, was looking at him maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, the big thing has been since he moved to Bruges, he's just not kept a starting job.
No, I would say to me the top 3 right now, as I look towards 4 years from now, would be Zach Steffen, it'd be Bill Hamid, and the third one would be probably Jonathan Klinsmann at this point. You got to play. And the rest of them, I look
Although
at.
Although I don't know when your coach at Hertha's saying that, like, yeah, you're too American, you don't listen.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's fine. But Yarbrough, you said Horvath isn't playing. Bingham maybe. I guess Bingham maybe.
Bingham has a shot. Yarbrough, the problem with him has always been because he wants to like play with his feet and stuff, he makes kind of dumb mistakes, or he wants to play too much, and so he just ends up kind of getting in over his head sometimes, I think.
Yeah, and to be fair, Tim Howard might still be in the mix. You really never know. I get it. He's 800 years old, but although with the way Luis Robles played in the CONCACAF Champions League, would you? So anyway, shit, where was I going to go with this? The big elephant in the room that I've seen pop up in the chat box. And I saw on Twitter, soccer Twitter losing its shit. Go figure. Why is Fox hyping Mexico so much? And the
Oh yeah. I forgot. Yeah, somebody had a comment, something, a question that I was going to comment on too. So sorry. Go ahead.
and let's face it, Fox needs to make back as much money as they can from this World Cup. With the U.S. not qualifying, they're going to take a beating. They've got to try and hype up Mexico for whatever reason, any reason they can. Although those that are going to watch Mexico are going to watch it all on Univision anyway. That said, they have to. It's what they have to do, and people are butthurt because Mexico comes to the United States. They put a game in Dallas tonight, and there's going to be 100,000 people there, give or take. Guess what? Mexico made the World Cup. You want to see a team that made the World Cup? That's where you had to go. They had 25,000 in New Jersey today for Iceland and Peru. Was that right? Was it Peru?
Yes. I I remember seeing the listing for it. I don't remember who played.
But it's funny. Teams that make the World Cup, people want to see them.
Yeah.
And let's see, Mexico and Dallas. That's always been a huge draw for them. They know that. I don't blame them. I don't blame them for going there. I don't blame people for wanting to go see them. They're going to play in the World Cup. I don't like Mexico when they play the United States. I hope the United States beats them 65-0. They're going to the World Cup. I don't blame people for wanting to see them. I've got no problem with that. I know you do more than I do, but I guess I'm kind of tired of this. Well, why is Fox promoting Mexico? Because they don't have the U.S. to promote.
They have to right now. Yeah.
Who are you going to promote? I guess they could promote Germany because they have the Bundesliga.
Well, and they probably want to also head off some of those viewers watching Univision because Univision's NBC. So I'm sure part of that is also a bit of a competition there. But yeah, the largest part of this probably they're trying to find viewers somehow. And who's more likely to watch right now? You know, people who support Mexico or people who support the U.S. Because, aside from those people who support both, you're not going to see nearly as many U.S. fans at parties, viewing parties, out at games this summer. It's just not, viewership's going to be way down. I'll guarantee. Even though, look, numbers will still be up, but I mean, we'll still be good because it's still a mass sporting event, and it's aside from like regular season baseball, there's not a lot of competition. I mean, I guess you could say MLS, but MLS has never done a very good job competing with the World Cup. So there's
at that point in the year, the biggest competition you're going to have is going to be if Tiger Woods is golfing. That would be about it.
Anyway, somebody and I missed it. I had been saving the comment, but we got far enough in that I missed it. But somebody was talking about the fact that Mexico is playing in front of 80,000. We played in front of 10,000 tonight. I do think that shows just how much the U.S. is dependent upon World Cup participation, and it really shows how much we screwed up by not making it.
However, and I saw the conspiracy heads, and Ben Fast, I know he watches periodically. Ben, if you're out there, this one's for you. That the U.S. national team, USSF, has in their back pocket that they keep giving all these games to North Carolina because Malik decided to screw NASL and go to USL. That's the whole reason behind it, not any other reason. I was going to actually bring this topic up about playing in North Carolina. You have 9,000 people, whatever. It was full. It sounded great. Because these games don't matter for another year, is that the course to take? If you're going to play, I'd say
play in front of smaller crowds,
even smaller. Correct. Not even US, not even your typical venues like Red Bull Arena or Rio Tinto or Dick's Sporting Goods Park. I'm talking go off the grid a little bit. Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, which is 6,000, 7,000. Al Lang Stadium down in Tampa. Why not give some people exposure that don't get exposure otherwise? I would maybe throw a game up in Rochester, see if you can pump some money into that so they can get a soccer team and a new team up there. Some of these teams that aspire to have better teams, why not? San Antonio.
Hey, I'm okay putting some more games in Nashville.
Nashville.
Nashville's been fun when I've gone to games there.
From what you can remember. But I guess my point is, if you're going to build soccer stadiums in some of these smaller ones, why not go off the grid a little bit? You're not playing games that are relevant for another year. Why not? If you're going to screw people on money, you might as well screw a new audience you haven't screwed before.
I mean, it does, I guess, make it more likely that you get certain people to go. Maybe, well, local people, whatever. I mean, yeah, if there was a game somewhere in the upper Midwest, I'm far more likely to attend than I am to like go to. I wasn't going to go to Cary today for this game when it's a meaningless game in a throwaway year. I'm not going to travel that far for a U.S. game, and I'm one of those people who goes to who definitely travels to games. So I've been to a lot of places in to see games for the U.S. I'm probably one of their key demos and demographics, and I'm not going. So yeah, maybe there's something to be said for playing in some more out of the way venues that you're trying to boost your visibility in certain areas or help teams there boost their visibility or something.
Well, and I guess unless you're doing a super game, and by super game I mean a friendly against Mexico, because
Yeah.
well, they draw Germany, Italy, England, somebody like that who's going to fill up a stadium no matter where you put them. That was kind of I saw it tonight. I'm like, I didn't think so bad of it. I mean, why not play some games in places you don't traditionally go to? And if you're gonna, like I said, if you're gonna screw people over for money, at least let screw people over for money who don't get to go very often. Because where you don't
Screw
need
people,
to.
at least screw others.
Christian
Um,
asked, I like this question. Did you guys think this was a great international break? It was
it
fine.
it was. I mean, it was nice in that there were a lot of big teams, like big name teams that played each other.
Yeah.
For a friendly break, there did seem to be an awful lot of um, like fair competitions.
And I felt like there was enough other stuff going on that I didn't feel deprived, in the sense of MLS only semi shut down, and we can have the argument whether they should or shouldn't shut down. Again, the US isn't playing. I really think they don't give a shit either. You had a full weekend of USL just opening up, so you had some other games going. And NWSL opened this weekend. There was enough other soccer going on. I didn't feel deprived by missing my Premier League, my Bundesliga, or La Liga, or any of the other, type of things going on. You had Australian rules football open week one. Yeah, the games that were played were good. You had some really high quality games going. And then the rest of it, there was enough soccer I didn't really give a shit one way or the other.
All right. Well, did we hit it all?
I think we covered that and a whole lot of shit we probably didn't need to tonight, but we do it, so why not?
All right. Well, yeah, I think on that note, thankfully we actually managed to pull this off tonight. Um, with my studying of Pat's video notes that he gave me, I was able to get us on air. So thanks everybody. Nice of the U.S. to actually come out with a win. Although we're still looking for a game, Dave Sarachan game with more than one goal in it. But yeah, nice everybody join us. Any final thoughts, TJ?
Will there be a show next week?
Yes, there will be. Pat will be back next week, so he can go back to running it. It won't be a problem.
Well, good, because if it's next Tuesday, it's either the night before, baby, or we're gonna have one. So
You'll be live in the hospital.
I would do it just because I can.
Yeah, I'll let Katie be mad at you, not at me.
Does she need a reason?
All right.
So I guess my final thought is, if you're in Chicago, go see the damn doubleheader this weekend. You got the Timbers, who are playing like ass, so the Fire actually have a chance. You got the Red Stars. You got a doubleheader chance. Hell, that's a lot of soccer and a lot of good soccer. At least the second game will be. Go check that one out.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. You can find us at USFanTV.com or on YouTube, as you see. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those places, but not Snapchat. And you know why? Because fuck Snapchat.
And even though Chris has a profile on Snapchat,
I got one because I was trying to figure out if I could use it for work. And then I wanted to transfer. We were considering it for USFanTV, but I can't figure out how to close an account and then create a new one. So I think I've used it twice. I hate Snapchat. Hate
Right.
Snapchat. On that note, yeah. Thanks, everybody. You're done.